The signal came through every screen in human space at exactly 14:47 Universal Time. No warning, no emergency protocols, just a sudden takeover of every display, every monitor, every communication device across 7 colony worlds and Earth itself. Admiral Rebecca Walsh had been reviewing supply reports when her office screens went dark. Then they blazed back to life with an image that would burn itself into human memory forever. A massive alien warship filled the frame, its hull decorated with symbols she recognized immediately. Dravik's Empire. Her blood went cold. A figure appeared on screen, tall, reptilian, wearing elaborate military armor that gleamed under harsh lighting. Grand Executor Thraxol of the Dravik's Empire smiled at the camera with too many teeth. Behind him, other Dravik's officers stood at attention, their faces showing something worse than anger. They looked excited. "Greetings to the Galactic Coalition," Thraxol began, his translator rendering his words in perfect standard. "Today we address a matter of territorial sovereignty. The human colony on the world they call New Terra exists within historic Dravik space. This illegal settlement has persisted despite our warnings. Words have failed. Now we demonstrate the consequences of ignoring Dravik's authority." The camera angle shifted. Rebecca felt her stomach drop. New Terra filled the screen, beautiful and blue against the darkness of space. She could see the 3 continents, the major cities glowing like jewels. 7.2 million people lived there. She had visited twice. Good people, farmers, teachers, engineers building a new world. 50 Dravik's warships surrounded the planet. "Let this serve as education for all species who question our territorial claims," Thraxol continued. "Watch and learn what happens to trespassers." The bombardment began. Rebecca watched in horror as beams of superheated plasma lanced down from orbit. Cities evaporated in flashes of light. She saw the capital, New Haven, simply cease to exist. 3 million people lived there, had lived there, past tense now. The screen showed it all in brutal detail. Buildings collapsing, fires spreading, people running through streets that turned to molten glass beneath their feet. The Draviks had positioned cameras everywhere. Orbital satellites, drones in the atmosphere. They were broadcasting the massacre across every galactic channel. Billions of beings on. Hundreds of worlds were watching this happen in real time. Rebecca tried to shut off her screen. It would not respond. She tried her communication panel. Dead. Every system locked to this one terrible broadcast. The Draviks had hijacked everything. They wanted the galaxy to watch. They wanted everyone to see what they could do. 6 hours. The bombardment lasted 6 hours. Rebecca sat frozen in her chair, forcing herself to witness every moment. She owed them that much. 7 million humans dying while she sat safe in orbit above Earth. The least she could do was watch, remember, bear witness to their final moments. When it ended, New Terra was a smoking ruin. The beautiful blue world had turned gray with ash and debris. Not a single city remained intact. Not a single transmission came from the surface. Complete silence where millions had lived and laughed and dreamed. Thraxol appeared on screen again. "The matter is resolved. Let this serve as warning to all who would challenge Dravik's territorial rights. This broadcast will remain in galactic archives as permanent record. We trust there will be no further misunderstandings." The screens went dark. Systems came back online. Rebecca sat in the sudden quiet of her office, her hands shaking. She pulled up casualty estimates. The computer calculated based on population data and bombardment coverage. 7,043,812, plus or minus a few hundred accounting for people off-world. Her personal communicator buzzed. "Earth Command." She answered with a voice that sounded dead even to herself. "Admiral Walsh, report to Secure Briefing Room 7 immediately. Presidential authorization." She walked through corridors filled with people who had just watched the same broadcast. Crew members stood in small groups, crying, holding each other, staring at nothing. Some looked angry, most looked shocked. A few looked terrified. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity was no longer safe. The Galactic Coalition had not intervened, had not even tried to stop it. The briefing room held Earth's top military commanders. Fleet Marshal Patricia O'Connor, General Robert Kim, Admiral Richard Cross, Intelligence Director Amanda Foster. All of them looked like they had aged 10 years in the past 6 hours. President David Wright sat at the head of the table. His eyes were red. His hands trembled slightly. Rebecca knew why. His daughter Rachel had lived on New Terra with her family. 2 grandchildren, all gone now. They broadcast it, Wright said quietly. They made the whole galaxy watch while they murdered 7 million of our people. The coalition has issued a statement calling for restraint and dialogue. They suggest a fact-finding mission. Estimated time for preliminary hearings is 4 to 6 months. He laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. They want us to wait, to trust the process, to believe in galactic justice. Wright looked around the table. Anyone here still believe in that? Silence. I received a message from the Dravix ambassador an hour ago, Wright continued. They demand an apology from us for illegally settling in their territory. They want us to acknowledge their territorial rights. They face no consequences, no sanctions, nothing. Fleet Marshal O'Connor spoke carefully. Sir, we have options, military options, but they need to be discussed. Wright nodded, then discussed them. O'Connor pulled up a holographic display. Rebecca's eyes widened. Ship designs she had never seen. Fleet compositions that should not exist. Technology that had no business being in human hands. For 23 years, O'Connor said, we have been preparing for this exact scenario. While our diplomats shook hands and signed treaties, we built a second fleet, a hidden fleet. We reverse-engineered every piece of alien technology we could access. We studied every galactic war in the archives. We prepared. The display showed 2,400 warships. No one knows these ships exist, O'Connor continued. They were built in dark systems, asteroid facilities, hidden yards. We have been pretending to be weak, pretending to believe in coalition protection. But we knew better. We knew eventually someone would test us. President Wright looked at each officer in turn. If we do this, there is no going back. We will become what the galaxy fears, but our people will never be victims again, never be slaughtered for entertainment while the coalition debates and delays. He pulled out a black folder. Inside was a single authorization form. He signed it without hesitation. Protocol Nightfall is now active. Mobilize the fleet. Find every Dravix military installation, every government facility, every world they control. Wright's voice went cold and hard. And then show them what happens when you make humans watch there. Children burn. Rebecca received her orders through encrypted channels. Return to Fleet Command. Prepare for immediate deployment. She walked back to her quarters in a daze. On her desk sat a photo. Her visiting New Terra last year. Smiling colonists showing her their farms, their schools, their dreams for the future. She picked up the photo and looked at those happy faces. All dead now. All murdered while the galaxy watched and did nothing. Rebecca carefully placed the photo in her jacket pocket, right over her heart. Then she began packing for war. The Galactic Coalition Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 247 species filled the massive curved amphitheater, their voices creating a discordant symphony of concern and debate. At the center podium stood Ambassador Rilth of the Vathari, a species known for diplomatic neutrality. He called for order with limited success. The human delegation has not responded to any communications, Rilth announced, his 6 eyes scanning the crowd. This silence is unprecedented. We must consider options for intervention before the situation escalates. In the human gallery section, the seats sat empty. For 47 days, no human representative had entered this chamber. Their embassy remained staffed, but all diplomatic personnel refused meetings. Every message went unanswered, every call ignored. The Dravix delegation occupied their usual prominent position. Thraxol himself attended, still wearing his military decorations from the New Terra operation. He looked pleased with himself, occasionally nodding to other ambassadors who carefully avoided eye contact. The humans are frightened, Thraxol announced during his turn to speak. This is natural. They understand now their proper place in galactic hierarchy. Their silence is acceptance of Dravik's territorial sovereignty. We consider the matter resolved. What Thraxel did not know, what none of the Coalition knew, was happening at that exact moment in human space. Every human ship, military and civilian, had received recall orders. Every colony world was being evacuated. Transports moved millions of people back toward Earth and the core systems. Mining operations shut down, trading posts abandoned, research stations emptied. The galaxy noticed. They sent concerned inquiries, humanitarian offers, requests for explanation, all ignored. On Earth, President Wright stood before the assembled military command in a bunker 3 kilometers beneath the surface. Every screen showed real-time fleet positions. 2,400 warships, finally visible now that stealth protocols had been dropped, gathered in formations around the Sol system. "They think we are running scared," Wright said to the room. "Let them think it. Let the whole galaxy believe we are retreating in fear. They will understand the truth soon enough." Admiral Rebecca Walsh commanded the largest battle group from her flagship, the ECS Retribution. 47 days of preparation had transformed the scattered, hidden fleet into a coordinated war machine. Every ship fully armed, every crew trained and ready, every system checked and rechecked. She addressed her officers in the briefing room. "The Draviks believe we are weak because we chose diplomacy. They believe we are cowards because we sought peaceful solutions. They are about to learn the difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war." On the navigation display, a course plotted straight through Dravik's territory to their homeworld. 17 outposts lay along that route, 17 chances for the Draviks to realize their mistake. Rebecca had orders concerning those outposts. Simple orders, no survivors. Across human space, memorial services continued. Earth had declared a month of mourning. 7 million candles burned in New York's Central Memorial. 7 million names read aloud in continuous broadcasts. 7 million faces displayed on every screen. The galaxy was invited to watch these services, to see human grief. Most ignored the invitation. In the Dravik's empire, military analysts reviewed intelligence reports with growing confusion. The human fleet movements made no tactical sense. Ships gathering in one system, then dispersing to strange coordinates. Patrol patterns that seemed random. Military exercises in empty space. General Krax, head of Dravik's military intelligence, brought his concerns to Thraxel. "Grand Executor, the human fleet composition is unusual. These ship designs do not match anything in Coalition registry. Our observers cannot identify their class or capabilities." Thraxel waved dismissively. "New paint on old vessels, merchants pretending to be warriors. How many ships do they have total? 200, 300. We command 800 vessels in our home fleet alone. The humans cannot threaten us even if they were foolish enough to try." Krax persisted. "Sir, our tracking systems show anomalies, spatial distortions consistent with large-scale fleet movements, but the numbers do not align with known human naval strength. I recommend increased defensive postures until we understand." "You recommend cowardice," Thraxel interrupted. "The humans had one significant colony and we destroyed it in an afternoon. They have no stomach for real war. This conversation is over." Krax returned to his office unsatisfied. He pulled up the latest reports. Human ship count estimates varied wildly. Coalition intelligence said 200 vessels. Dravik's observers reported 400. Independent merchants claimed to have seen groups numbering in the thousands. The numbers made no sense. Ships did not simply appear from nowhere. He ran probability analyses, reviewed historical human behavior patterns, studied their diplomatic record. Something bothered him. Humans had joined the Coalition 23 years ago. In that time, they had avoided every conflict, mediated disputes, offered humanitarian aid, built a reputation as peace seekers. But Krax had been a soldier for 60 years. He knew the difference between peaceful intentions and tactical deception. A species that wanted only peace did not need 200 warships. They certainly did not need 400. And if the wild estimates of thousands were even partially accurate, then humans had been hiding something significant. He prepared a classified report for the military council, recommended moving additional fleets to defend the homeworld, suggested treating humans as a legitimate military threat, proposed opening diplomatic channels to de-escalate tensions. The council received his report and filed it under low priority. Thraxel never saw it. On day 47 of human silence, everything changed. A single transmission reached Dravix Prime. It came through official military channels, 6 words in standard language, no threats, no demands, no diplomatic phrasing, just 6 words from Admiral Rebecca Walsh that would be remembered forever. "We are coming, tell your children." The transmission ended. Confusion rippled through Dravix Command. What did it mean? Was it a declaration of war, a bluff, some human attempt at psychological warfare? General Krax felt ice in his veins. He recognized a soldier's promise when he heard one. He immediately ordered defensive fleets to high alert, started evacuation protocols for non-essential personnel, activated every surveillance satellite between Dravix space and human territory. The satellites detected them within the hour. Not 200 ships, not 400, 2,400 warships emerging from jump points across 17 different coordinates. Ship classes never seen before. Weapon signatures that matched no known technology. Formation patterns that suggested decades of tactical planning. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination. No hesitation, no communication with Dravix forces. They simply accelerated toward the first outpost in their path. Outpost Sentinel held 3,000 Dravix soldiers. When the humans appeared on their sensors, the commander immediately transmitted a surrender offer. The humans did not respond, did not slow, did not acknowledge the transmission in any way. Outpost Sentinel was destroyed in 8 minutes. 3,000 Dravix military personnel, no survivors. The human fleet continued toward the next outpost without pause. Outpost Guardian surrendered before the humans arrived, offered to evacuate, begged for mercy. The humans broadcast their response across all frequencies so every Dravix installation could hear. You broadcast the murder of 7 million civilians. You made the galaxy watch children burn. Now the galaxy watches you face consequences. No mercy, no survivors, no exceptions. Outpost Guardian was destroyed in 6 minutes. 2,400 personnel. By the time news reached Dravix Prime, 4 outposts had been eliminated, 10,000 soldiers dead. The human fleet showed no signs of slowing. They were coming, exactly as they had promised. Thraxel stood in his command center watching reports flood in. His confident smile had vanished. How many ships do they have? How did we not know about this fleet? Nobody had answers. The humans had somehow built and hidden an entire navy, had pretended to be weak while preparing for war, had played the role of peaceful newcomers while studying Dravix tactics and capabilities. Krax found himself promoted to emergency military command. His first order mobilized the home defense fleet, 800 warships, still impressive, still outnumbering what the humans were sending, surely enough to defend their homeworld. He wished he felt more confident about that. On the Retribution, Rebecca Walsh watched her tactical displays update in real time. 4 outposts destroyed, 13 more between here and Dravix Prime. Then the real test would begin. She thought about the photo in her pocket, the smiling faces of people who had trusted the galaxy to be fair, to be just, to protect the innocent. The galaxy had failed them, so humanity would succeed where the galaxy had not. They would bring justice. They would show the cost of murdering human civilians. And they would make absolutely certain that no species ever made that mistake again. 17 outposts fell in 43 hours. Each one broadcast their final moments across Dravix military channels. Each one pleaded, threatened, or tried to negotiate. The human response never changed. Overwhelming firepower, perfect precision, 0 survivors among military personnel. The human fleet moved like a force of nature, unstoppable and merciless. The galaxy finally paid attention. Emergency sessions convened across the coalition. Species that had ignored human morning services now scrambled to understand what was happening. Intelligence agencies reviewed decades of human activity, searching for clues they had missed. The picture that emerged terrified them. On the Kelthani homeworld, their intelligence director presented findings to the ruling council. They built these ships in dark systems, asteroid fields, uninhabited moons. They used automated construction facilities that required minimal crew. For 23 years, while we thought they were exploring and mining, they were preparing for war. The council chair, a dignified Kelthani elder named Voth, studied the data. Why did our observers never notice? We monitor all coalition species for military buildup. Because they are clever, the director replied. They showed us exactly what we expected to see. A small defensive fleet appropriate for a young species, merchant vessels, colony transports, everything normal, everything innocent. Meanwhile, their real fleet grew in places we never thought to look. Voth felt a chill. They played us, all of us. They acted weak while becoming strong. That level of deception requires planning, coordination, patience. 23 years of patience, the director confirmed. They knew this moment would come, knew eventually someone would test them. They prepared for it from the day they joined the coalition. Similar conversations happened. Across hundreds of worlds, the humans had fooled everyone. Their diplomatic corps had genuinely believed in peace, which made their sincerity convincing. But their military had been preparing for war the entire time, hidden from view, building strength in secret. The coalition tried to intervene. Ambassador Rilth led a delegation to intercept the human fleet. Their ship positioned itself directly in the path of the advancing armada. Rilth transmitted on all frequencies. This is Coalition Mediator Vessel Harmony requesting immediate communication with Human Fleet Command. We urge restraint, urge dialogue. The path you are on leads only to greater bloodshed. Please respond. Admiral Rebecca Walsh received the transmission, considered it for exactly 3 seconds. Then she gave orders to her navigation officer. Plot course around them. Do not acknowledge, do not slow. The human fleet split into 3 groups, flowing around the coalition vessel like water around a stone. Rilth tried again, his voice becoming desperate. Admiral Walsh, we know you can hear this. The coalition is prepared to sanction the Draviks, to enforce territorial arbitration, but you must give us time to. Rebecca cut the channel. She opened a fleet-wide broadcast instead. All ships maintain course and speed. Ignore all external communications unless they come from Earth Command. We have our orders, we have our mission. Justice does not wait for bureaucrats to schedule meetings. The 3 fleet groups reformed beyond the coalition vessel, continued toward Dravik's space without pause. Rilth watched them go, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he had failed. The coalition's authority meant nothing to humans anymore. Trust had been broken. It could not be repaired with words. As the human fleet crossed into Dravik's territory, they encountered the first real military resistance. General Krax had positioned a defensive line of 150 warships across the most likely approach vector. Modern Dravik's vessels, well-armed and crewed by experienced officers. They had been ordered to stop the human advance. Krax addressed his fleet commanders. You have seen what they did to the outposts. Do not underestimate them. They have new weapons technology. Their tactics are unknown. Fight smart. Fight together. Protect each other. And remember, we defend our homeworld. Our families are behind us. Failure is not acceptable. The humans arrived in attack formation. Rebecca studied the Dravik's defensive line on her tactical display. 150 ships against her force of 800. The math seemed simple, but she had learned never to underestimate an enemy defending their home. All vessels assume combat spread pattern Delta, she ordered. Target their command ships first, disable their coordination, then we eliminate them systematically. The battle began with the Draviks opening fire at extreme range. Plasma bolts and missiles filled the space between the fleets. The humans did not return fire immediately. They accelerated forward, their shields absorbing the incoming barrage. Closer, closer. Wait for optimal range. When the human fleet finally fired, the effect was devastating. Kinetic rail systems that punched through Dravik's shields like paper. Missile swarms so dense that point defense systems could not track them all. Electronic warfare packages that blinded sensors and jammed communications. The Draviks had expected a fight. They got a slaughter. In the first 30 minutes, they lost 47 ships. Human losses, 0. The tactical disparity was shocking. Dravik's weapons that had dominated galactic conflicts for centuries simply could not penetrate human defenses. Meanwhile, human weapons tore through Dravik's armor with ease. Krax watched his fleet die in real time. He had been a soldier long enough to recognize defeat when it arrived. But retreating meant abandoning the defensive line, meant allowing the humans direct access to Dravik's prime. His duty was clear even if success was impossible. All ships fighting withdrawal pattern, he ordered. Fall back toward the homeworld, make them pay for every meter of space. The Dravik's fleet began a controlled retreat, firing as they withdrew. The humans pursued relentlessly. More Dravik's ships fell, 70 destroyed. 90, 100. The survivors scattered, each captain making the desperate choice to run or die. Krax's own flagship took a direct hit. Systems failed, hull breaches on 3 decks. He gave the evacuation order, then sat in his command chair as escape pods launched. A soldier stayed with his ship. That was tradition, that was honor. Rebecca watched the Dravik's flagship break apart on her display. "Confirm all escape pods are clear before final strike," she ordered. She was here to destroy military capability, not murder helpless survivors. There were rules even in revenge. The pods cleared, the flagship was destroyed. 150 Dravik's warships reduced to debris in 4 hours. Human fleet losses, 12 ships damaged, none destroyed. The technological gap was wider than anyone had imagined. The human fleet continued toward Dravik's prime. Behind them, Coalition observers recovered the escape pods. Krax found himself aboard a Coalition medical ship, alive but defeated. The doctor treating his injuries was Kelthani. "Your fleet fought bravely," the doctor said quietly. "I am sorry." Krax laughed bitterly. "Bravery means nothing against those weapons. We brought plasma and missiles to fight an enemy with technology we do not understand. They were always going to win. The only question was how many of my people would die first. Will your homeworld surrender? Thraxel would rather see our world burn than admit defeat, and now I cannot stop what is coming." Krax closed his eyes. 7 million humans died on New Terra. I wonder how many Draviks will die before this is over. The human fleet reached the outer boundary of the Dravik's home system. Sensor arrays detected them immediately. Alarms sounded across Dravik's prime. The remaining home defense fleet scrambled to intercept positions. 650 warships, the largest military force the Draviks had ever assembled in one location. Admiral Walsh studied the defensive formation. They are protecting their homeworld. They will fight harder here, be smarter, more desperate. Her tactical officer nodded. Should we proceed with the assault? Rebecca pulled out the photo from her pocket, looked at those smiling faces one more time. Then she put it away and her expression turned to stone. We did not come this far to turn back. All ships, battle formation Omega, target their outer defensive ring and signal Earth Command. Tell President Wright we have arrived. The reckoning begins now. The Battle of Dravik's Prime began at dawn on the homeworld below. 14 billion Dravik's citizens woke to find human warships filling their sky. The sight created panic. Civilians flooded communication networks demanding answers. Government officials had none to give. Thraxel broadcast from his command bunker deep beneath the surface. Citizens of the Dravik's Empire, do not fear. Our fleet will destroy these human aggressors. Their foolish attack on our homeworld will be their extinction. Watch as we demonstrate true military power. He still believed, still thought numbers and pride would carry the day. The delusion would not last long. Admiral Walsh divided her fleet into 3 attack groups. Each targeted a section of the Dravik's defensive sphere. The plan was simple: break their formation, destroy their cohesion, force them to fight as individuals instead of a coordinated force. All ships weapons-free, engage at will. The human fleet struck like a hammer. The outer defensive ring held 200 Dravik ships. They opened fire simultaneously, creating a wall of plasma and missiles. Impressive, coordinated, exactly what their training had prepared them to do. Against a conventional enemy, it would have been devastating. Against the humans, it bought them 6 minutes. Human point defense systems intercepted 94% of incoming fire. The 6% that got through hit shields designed to withstand far worse. Meanwhile, human return fire shredded the Dravik's formation. Kinetic rounds moving at relativistic speeds punched through hulls. Missiles with adaptive guidance systems found weaknesses in armor. Electronic warfare turned Dravik's sensors into useless static. In the first 30 minutes, the outer defensive ring ceased to exist. 200 Dravik's warships destroyed or crippled. The human fleet advanced, shields still at 90% capacity. The middle defensive ring held 300 ships. Their commander had watched the outer ring die, adjusted tactics accordingly, focused fire on individual human vessels, tried to overwhelm specific targets. It worked slightly better. 3 human ships took heavy damage and withdrew. Another 2 lost shields and pulled back for repairs. But 300 Dravik's ships died to achieve those minimal results. The inner defensive ring held 150 ships, the elite guard, positioned closest to the planet. Their commander made a desperate choice: abandoned defensive positions and charged directly at the human fleet. Close-range combat, make the numerical advantage count for something. The humans adapted instantly, shifted from long-range bombardment to close-quarters brawling. The space around Dravik's prime became a chaotic melee. Ships twisted and turned, fired at point-blank range, rammed when weapons failed. The Draviks fought with the desperation of people defending their families. The humans fought with cold. Mechanical efficiency. 11 hours after it began, the Battle of Dravik's prime ended. 650 Dravik's warships destroyed. Human losses: 43 ships destroyed, 97 damaged but repairable. The mathematical reality was brutal. The Draviks had thrown everything at the humans and barely scratched them. Silence fell across the orbital space around Dravik's prime. Human ships took up positions in a perfect sphere around the planet. Every weapon trained downward, every sensor locked on military installations. The message was clear. The homeworld was now at human mercy. Admiral Walsh opened a channel that broadcast to every screen on Dravik's prime and across the entire galaxy. The Coalition had been trying to block the signal, but human electronic warfare made that impossible. Billions of beings would watch what came next. Rebecca's face appeared on screens everywhere. She looked tired, older than her years, but her eyes were hard as diamonds. "I am Admiral Rebecca Walsh of Earth Defense Forces. 47 days ago, your Grand Executor Thraxol broadcast the murder of 7 million human civilians. He made the galaxy watch as he destroyed New Terra for entertainment. He called it a demonstration, a lesson, an example." She paused, let the words sink in. "You wanted the galaxy to watch, so watch this. We are here to collect a debt. 7 million human lives were taken while your leaders smiled and the galaxy did nothing. Now we stand over your homeworld with the power to do to you what you did to us. We could turn your world into ash. We could make sure your species exists only in history files." Fear rippled across Dravik's prime. Parents held children. Families huddled in shelters. 14 billion beings waited to learn if they would live or die. "But we are not you," Rebecca continued. "We are not murderers of civilians. We are not butchers of the innocent. We came here for justice, not genocide, so here is your choice. You have 24 hours to deliver Grand Executor Thraxol and every officer who participated in the New Terra massacre. Every single one, alive, to face trial for their crimes." She leaned closer to the camera. If you comply, we will destroy your military installations and government facilities. We will cripple your ability to wage war. But we will not harm your civilians. Your children will live. Your families will survive. You will rebuild. That is more mercy. Then you showed us. If you refuse, if you hide your war criminals, if you protect the people who murdered 7 million humans, then we will finish what we came to do. We will eliminate every military target on your world, and your civilians will die in the crossfire, not because we target them, but because you chose to value your leaders more than your people. Rebecca's voice went cold. 24 hours, justice or destruction, choose wisely. The transmission ended. Across Dravix Prime, chaos erupted. Civilians demanded the government surrender Thraxol. Military officers faced impossible choices. Some wanted to fight to the last. Others recognized defeat and wanted to save what could be saved. In his bunker, Thraxol refused to believe the situation. They are bluffing. They cannot strike at military targets without massive civilian casualties. The galaxy will not allow it. The coalition will intervene. His advisors were less certain. Sir, they destroyed our entire defense fleet, our orbital platforms, our satellite network. They have complete military superiority. If we do not surrender you and the officers, they will bombard the planet. Then let them, Thraxol shouted. I will not bow to humans. I will not surrender to primitives. We are Dravix. We do not yield. News of his refusal spread quickly. Riots broke out in major cities. Civilians stormed government buildings demanding their leaders surrender the war criminals. Military units received conflicting orders. Some swore loyalty to Thraxol. Others sided with the people. The Dravix Empire was tearing itself apart from within while human warships waited overhead. 20 hours into the deadline, a group of Dravix military officers made a decision. They entered Thraxol's bunker with weapons drawn. The Grand Executor's personal guard did not resist. They stood aside and let it happen. General Vash, who had lost 3 sons in the space battle, faced Thraxol directly. You murdered 7 million humans and brought this upon us. You refused to surrender and condemned our world to destruction. This ends now. Thraxol tried to run. They stunned him, dragged him out of the bunker, found the other 47 officers who had participated in New Terra. Some surrendered, some fought and were subdued. Within 3 hours, all 48 prisoners were secured. General Vash sent a transmission to Admiral Walsh. We have your war. Criminals, all 48. We are bringing them to the surface spaceport. Please spare our world. Rebecca received the message in her command center. Read it twice. Checked with her tactical team to confirm this was not a trap. Then she responded. Confirmed. Bring them to coordinates we are transmitting now. Clear the area of all civilians within 10 kilometers. We will send shuttles to retrieve the prisoners. If this is an ambush, if there is any treachery, we will level that spaceport and everything within 50 kilometers. Do you understand? Understood, Vash replied. There will be no treachery, we just want this to end. 6 human shuttles descended through the atmosphere. Dravix forces had cleared the designated area. Thraxol and the 47 officers sat in restraints, surrounded by Dravix soldiers who would not meet their eyes. The human Marines who took custody of the prisoners were professional and cold. No words, no gestures. They loaded the Dravix war criminals into the shuttles and departed. The entire operation took 11 minutes. As the shuttles returned to the fleet, Rebecca made another broadcast, this one to Earth Command. Sir, we have the prisoners, all 48, awaiting your orders. President Wright appeared on the secure channel. He looked like he had not slept in days. Bring them before the galaxy, Admiral. Let everyone see justice delivered. And then finish the mission. Destroy their military capability. Make sure they never threaten anyone again. Rebecca nodded. Understood, sir, it will be done. The trial was not conducted in a courtroom. There were no lawyers, no judges, no lengthy proceedings. Admiral Walsh ordered a broadcast setup identical to the one the Dravix had used for New Terra. If the galaxy was going to watch justice, they would watch it in the same format as the crime. 48 Dravix officers stood in restraints aboard the human flagship. Cameras positioned to capture every angle. Lighting designed for maximum clarity. Nothing hidden, nothing censored. The transmission went live across every galactic channel. Rebecca walked into frame. Behind her, the 48 prisoners. Some looked defiant, some looked terrified. Thraxel stared straight ahead, his face showing nothing. 7 million humans died on New Terra, Rebecca began. The Dravix broadcast their murder for the galaxy to witness. They made it entertainment, made it a lesson. Today, the galaxy will witness again. Not murder, justice. She gestured to the first officer. State your name and role in the New Terra operation. The officer, a commander named Velk, hesitated. A human marine stepped forward. You have two choices. Speak, or we play the recordings of your orders. Either way, the truth comes out. Velk spoke. Commander Velk, 3rd Strike Squadron. I commanded the bombardment of the Western continent. Targeted civilian population centers as ordered. One by one, each officer was brought forward. Each was asked the same question. Each answered. Some tried to justify their actions. Some claimed they were following orders. Some showed remorse. Most showed nothing. Thraxel went last. When asked about his role, he smiled. I am Grand Executor of the Dravix Empire. I ordered the complete military action against illegal human settlement in our territory. I would do it again. Humans are weak, soft. They do not belong among the stars. Rebecca let his words hang in the air. Let the galaxy hear his lack of remorse. Then she pulled out a data pad. The evidence against these officers is overwhelming. They do not deny their actions. They admitted on their own broadcast what they did. 7,043,812 humans murdered. Men, women, children, farmers, teachers, scientists, artists, people building a new world. She looked directly at the camera. In human law, the premeditated murder of civilians during military action is a war crime. The punishment is death. We have no lengthy appeals process for this. No decades of waiting. The crime is proven. The guilt is admitted. The sentence is clear. The execution method was simple, painless, quick. Each officer was led to a chamber one at a time. Each was given a chance to make a final statement. Most said nothing. A few apologized. Thraxel spit at the camera and cursed humanity with his last breath. It took 3 hours to execute all 48 officers. The galaxy watched every moment. Some species called it justice. Some called it revenge. Some called it barbaric. Humanity did not care what they called it. When it ended, Rebecca addressed the galaxy one final time. Justice has been served for 7 million dead, but the Dravix Empire still exists. Their military infrastructure remains. Their capacity for future aggression continues. That ends today. She turned to her fleet. All ships commence bombardment. Primary targets only. Military installations, government facilities, weapons production. Avoid civilian areas where possible. But make no mistake, we are here to break their ability to wage war. Execute. The bombardment of Dravix Prime began with precision strikes. Orbital defense platforms destroyed. Military bases hit with kinetic rounds. Government complexes reduced to rubble. Weapons factories collapsed. Naval shipyards vaporized. Communications arrays shattered. The humans had spent 47 days studying Dravix Prime. They knew where every military target was located, every command center, every strategic installation. Their targeting was surgical, but precision has limits when targets exist in cities. The capital city held the central military command. The humans warned civilians to evacuate a 10-kilometer radius. Gave them 2 hours. Most fled. Some stayed, whether from loyalty or foolishness. The command center was destroyed by a kinetic strike visible from space. The shockwave killed thousands in the surrounding area. Similar scenes played across the planet. Military targets eliminated. Collateral damage unavoidable. Fires spread. Buildings collapsed. Infrastructure failed. Power grids went dark. Water systems damaged. The price of hosting military targets in civilian areas. After 6 hours of bombardment, the Dravik's military capacity was effectively eliminated. No orbital defenses, no shipyards, no major command centers, no weapons production. The Empire's ability to wage interstellar war had been destroyed. Rebecca ordered the fleet to cease fire. She made one final broadcast to Dravik's Prime. Your military is broken, your government is gone. Your leaders who ordered the massacre are dead. We came here for 7 million lives. We have taken 14 million of yours between fleet battles and bombardment. The debt is paid, twice over. She paused, let the mathematics sink in. 2 Draviks for every human killed. If any species ever attacks human civilians again, if anyone thinks they can murder our people and face no consequences, remember this day. Remember Dravik's Prime. Remember what happens when you make humans watch their children burn. We will not stop at double. We will not stop until the species responsible ceases to exist. The human fleet began withdrawal, left behind a world in chaos. 14 billion Dravik civilians alive but traumatized. Their empire shattered, their military destroyed, their pride broken. They would survive, they would rebuild, but they would never again be a galactic power. As the fleet departed Dravik space, coalition vessels moved in. Medical ships, relief supplies, humanitarian aid, trying to minimize the suffering, trying to help survivors, doing what they should have done before 7 million humans died. Admiral Walsh sat alone in her quarters during the jump back to human space. The photo of New Terra sat on her desk. Those smiling faces, all dead, avenged now, but not returned, not saved, just avenged. She wondered if it was worth it, if becoming what they had become was worth the message sent, if 14 million Draviks dead was justice or just more death. The questions had no easy answers. A message came through from Earth. President Wright. Admiral, you are ordered to return to Sol's system immediately. Prepare for formal inquiry into actions taken during the Dravik's operation. There will be questions, many questions. Rebecca almost laughed. Humanity had destroyed an empire, and now they would debate whether it was justified, democracy in action. She transmitted her acknowledgement and returned to looking at the photo. I hope you would understand, she whispered to the dead. I hope you would forgive what we became to avenge you. The photo offered no answers. The dead never do. Rebecca carefully placed it back in her jacket and prepared for whatever came next. The war was over. Now came the hard part, living with what they had done. In the Galactic Coalition, emergency sessions continued. Debates raged about human actions. Some demanded sanctions. Some praised the response. Most were simply afraid. Humanity had revealed capabilities no one knew existed, had demonstrated willingness to use overwhelming force, had shown they would protect their people at any cost. The galaxy had learned a lesson, just not the one the Draviks intended to teach. The lesson was simple: never make humans watch their families die. Because humans, those soft, diplomatic newcomers, those peaceful merchants and farmers, would burn entire empires to ash in response. And they had the capability to do it. 6 months passed before the full consequences became clear. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed. Nothing would ever be quite the same. The Galactic Coalition enacted new protocols within weeks of the Dravik's bombardment. The New Terra Accords, named with bitter irony for the massacre that sparked everything. Any attack on civilian populations by coalition members would now trigger immediate military intervention. No debates, no committees, no waiting for fact-finding missions. The vote passed unanimously. Every species recognized the truth. Better to have rules enforced than watch another empire burn. On Earth, the aftermath proved complicated. Admiral Rebecca Walsh stood before a civilian review board tasked with investigating the Dravik's operation. Politicians demanded accountability. Citizens remained divided. Some called her a hero, others called her a war criminal. The chairman, a severe woman named Dr. Helen Park, led the questioning. Admiral Walsh, you authorized the bombardment of Dravik's Prime knowing it would result in massive civilian casualties. 14 million dead. How do you justify this? Rebecca sat calmly. I do not justify it, I explain it. The Dravix military embedded itself in civilian population centers. We gave evacuation warnings. We targeted only military infrastructure. But when you destroy a command center in the middle of a city, people die. That is the reality of war. Some argue we could have pursued diplomatic solutions, that we could have worked through coalition channels. 7 million humans died while the coalition debated, Rebecca replied. The Dravix faced no immediate consequences. Their ambassador demanded an apology from us. Tell me what diplomatic solution addresses that. The questioning continued for days. In the end, the board issued findings. The operation was deemed legally justified under human law as a response to war crimes. But the board also recommended new oversight protocols for future military actions. Checks and balances. Ways to ensure humanity never again acted without considering alternatives. President David Wright had already resigned. His decision to authorize Protocol Nightfall had saved human lives in the long term but cost him politically. He lived quietly on a farm in Montana now, rarely gave interviews. When asked about his choice, he always said the same thing. I would do it again, and that is what terrifies me about myself. The Dravix Empire never recovered. Their homeworld struggled with rebuilding. Without a functioning government, different factions fought for control. Some wanted to rebuild the military, others wanted peace. Civil conflict consumed resources that should have gone to reconstruction. Other species watched but offered limited help. The galaxy had learned a harsh lesson about consequences. Most felt the Dravix had brought this on themselves. Sympathy existed but remained shallow. 3 smaller species approached Earth with an unusual request. They wanted military protection treaties. If someone attacks us, we want humanity responding, their diplomats explained. The galaxy fears you now, that fear protects us. Earth's new president, Amanda Chen, struggled with the request. We did not seek to become galactic enforcers. We wanted only to protect our people. The diplomats nodded. And you did, overwhelmingly. Now others want that same protection. You have power. The question is what you do with it. The debate raged across Earth. Some embraced the role, humanity as defenders of the weak. Others rejected it, worried about becoming the very thing they had fought against. The question remained unresolved. On what had been New Terra, now renamed Memorial Prime, construction crews built something unprecedented. A planet-wide memorial. 7 million names carved in stone that would last millennia, but next to it something that caused controversy. A second memorial. 14 million Dravix names, the civilians who died in the response. The inscription read simply, "The price of justice, the cost of vengeance, may we learn the difference." Not everyone approved. Protests erupted. Why honor our enemies? Some demanded. The architect, a survivor of New Terra named Dr. James Wilson, who had been off-world during the massacre, explained his reasoning. These names remind us of what we became, what we did. We were right to seek justice. But 14 million dead to avenge 7 million is not simple mathematics. These names force us to remember that our actions have consequences, that our pain does not erase theirs. Admiral Walsh visited Memorial Prime once, walked among the names, found families she had known, then walked to the Dravix Memorial, stood before those names, so many names, children, elderly, civilians caught in a war they did not start. She left without speaking. Some burdens cannot be expressed in words. The galaxy's relationship with humanity fundamentally shifted. Trade continued, diplomacy proceeded, but underlying everything was a new awareness. Humans were no longer naive newcomers, they were veterans now, dangerous, capable, proven. An incident on the border of Kelthani space illustrated the change. A minor species called the Gret raided a Kelthani colony, nothing serious. A few buildings damaged, demands for tribute, standard piracy. The Gret ambassador received an unexpected communication, not from the Kelthani, from Earth. The message was simple. We have been monitoring the situation. The Kelthani are our trading partners. You have 48 hours to withdraw, make reparations, and apologize. After that, we stop watching and start acting. You saw what we did to the Draviks. Imagine what we do to pirates. The Gret withdrew in 36 hours. The Kelthani never asked for human help. Earth provided it anyway. Ambassador Harold Chen explained the reasoning to the coalition. We will not allow another new Terra. We will not watch civilians die while committees debate. If that makes us galactic police, so be it. Better that than another 7 million dead. Some species appreciated it, others resented it. None could stop it. Humanity had proven their capability. The galaxy would learn to live with their new role whether they liked it or not. 10 years after New Terra, a teacher on Earth asked her students a difficult question. Were we the good guys in the Draviks conflict? The students debated, argued, presented evidence both ways. No consensus emerged. Finally, one student, a quiet girl named Lisa, offered her perspective. Maybe we were not the good guys. Maybe the Draviks were not completely evil. Maybe it was just people responding to terrible things in terrible ways. Maybe that is all war ever is. Terrible people doing terrible things until someone finally stops. The teacher smiled sadly. And what did we become when we stopped them? Lisa thought carefully. We became what we needed to be, and that is the tragedy. In deep space, human warships patrolled trade routes, protected colony worlds, responded to distress calls, not always welcome, not always wanted, but always there. Admiral Rebecca Walsh, now Supreme Commander of Earth Defense Forces, reviewed incident reports from her office. Piracy down 60%. Civilian attacks on any species down 78%. Galactic conflict at lowest levels in recorded history. The human presence had made the galaxy safer. But at what cost? She looked at the photo on her desk. New Terra before the massacre. Happy. People building dreams, all gone, avenged but not saved. Her assistant entered with new reports. 3 more species requesting protection treaties. 2 coalition members asking for human military observers. 1 incident of a species withdrawing from planned aggression after considering human response doctrine. Walsh approved the requests, sent the observers, noted the avoided conflict. Then she sat back and wondered what they had truly won. The galaxy was safer. Humanity was respected and feared. Their people were protected, but something had been lost in the process. Innocence, perhaps, or maybe just the comfortable illusion that justice and revenge were different things. She pulled out a pen and began writing her weekly letter to the Memorial Prime Archive. Personal thoughts, private reflections, all stored for future historians. We became what the galaxy needed, a force willing to act when others only talked. We saved lives through fear and demonstrated power. But I wonder if we lost something in becoming this. I wonder if the people we were before New Terra would recognize the people we are now. She sealed the letter, sent it to the archive, then returned to the reports. The work never stopped. Protection never rested. And humanity, those peaceful farmers and merchants who once sought only to explore the stars, now stood guard over a galaxy that feared them. Perhaps that was justice. Perhaps it was tragedy. Perhaps it was simply the price of survival in a universe that respects strength more than morality. History would decide. The dead could not. And the living had to keep moving forward, carrying the weight of what they had done, hoping it was worth what they had become. Somewhere in Dravik space, a child born after the war asked her grandmother about the humans. Are they monsters? The grandmother, who had survived the bombardment, considered carefully. They are what we made them. We murdered their people. They destroyed our empire. Now we both live with what we did. Maybe that is the real lesson. Everyone is the monster in someone's story. Everyone is the hero in their own. The child looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled, watching, protecting, threatening all at once. The galaxy had learned. Civilians were not acceptable targets. Massacres would not be tolerated. Justice would be delivered, swift and terrible. And humanity, forever changed by loss and revenge, made certain no one ever forgot the lesson. 7 million died. 14 million answered. And the stars themselves seem to whisper the truth that neither victory nor vengeance ever comes without a price that haunts the victors long after the defeated are gone.